Monica Gupta, and we are back with another episode of I Am the Future series. In the series, we interview various business leaders at Infosys, and today I have with me Lilly Vasanthini, AVP Delivery Head for Europe, Nordic, and Switzerland markets at Infosys. Welcome to the series, Lilly, and thank you so much for taking out the time and participating in this interview today.
Hi.
So Lily, we'll begin by decoding your journey a bit. You've had a journey that's spanning over 3 decades. What, in your opinion, are have been the key enablers of your journey?
I always think there are so many things that make you be what you are as a person today. But what comes to my mind as a top recall would be three things that I have constantly followed. One, embrace change. Two, to look at challenge as an opportunity. And to treat my family and me and my team around me as a complete ecosystem. And that's what has been kind of propelling me to be what I am today here.
They say that our parents are our first teachers. So if I can ask you that, what was it that you learned from your parents, and were there any other any other individuals who influenced you a lot during your formative years? Can you tell us about that?
I come from a middle class background, like every Indian girl back home, and I kind of graduated in '85, and it's close to now 37 years in the industry today. And I did start small, but the fundamental ways we were living, the way we grew up, and what we are today are the seeds that my parents did ingrain in us. And the fundamental thing was about taking on ownership, to trust, and to be trustworthy. These things kind of have been a part of me as I have grown. And the best part is that I kind of smile even today. I lost my father way back in '97. But at times I smile to myself when I'm into challenging situations and I ask myself, Dad, do you think I've done right? Because he always taught me not to shy away from challenges. And that is something that I really advocate and I would like to share with every youngster today in the industry. I've had multiple people who have formed what I am today. My immediate family, my parents, my nanny who brought me up. I spent a significant time with her, in fact, as I grew up. Um, she was a person who used to wait for me to come back from college to hear about what and how the day went on because my parents were working. And I think I shared more with her and kind of took in feedback, which was at that time not so obvious, but somewhere in my mind today, when I do things, I'm like, aha, that's what Nanny told me. And then going forward, as I started working, there are many milestones in my life where I've had significant people who have made a change, and that's what I am today. But at the end of it, it is all about how do I give more of myself and how willing am I to take people along with me.
So, what kind of influence did it have on your personality, on your worldview? How did it all contribute in making you the person you are today?
We are three siblings. I'm the eldest, and my parents were pretty much government servants. My dad used to work for the telegraphs, and my mom used to work for the telephones. Both were in Bangalore, and they were pretty young when I was born, and they had to switch to working immediately. Um, and the person who brought me up was pretty much my nanny, who was not related to us, who came in from the Good Shepherd's convent in Bangalore to be a part of our family because she just wanted to take care of a family, and that was she left the convent to be a part of our family, and so she kind of became more than a nanny. She was a grand to me, mother to my parents, and she was pretty much the mistress around the little surroundings that we lived. Children used to fear her, And the parents around used to pretty much like, huh, they are in Lily's house, so we don't have to worry because Granny is there. And she was very friendly. At the same time, she made sure that we were all disciplined. And I think I grew up in such an environment. The best part is she died at a very ripe age of close to around 90 plus years. And she stayed with me till she died. She brought up the three of her siblings and also brought up my son. And then you can imagine the kind of influence she has had along with us. Dad was a very strict person, and mom played pretty much the role of being the mediator. But while dad was strict, he was a person who used to nurture courage in each one of us. I still remember um, he taught me actually to speak. He taught me to play table tennis. He taught me to be a team player. I still remember whenever we were in, I was a good speaker when I was in school. And there are two people actually, now I recall, who kind of found that talent in me. One was my dad, and one was my Kannada teacher, I remember. And I used to be one of the constant participants from our school on English and Kannada debates. When it came to debates or when it came to sharing news, this was really helpful. But the best part was dad used to come along with me, drop me in these competitions, and I think the same thing happens even today. But the best part was he wouldn't be a part of the audience. He would be hiding somewhere at the back. uh, and the one thing he told me was, don't have a stage fear, just go there and speak like you're talking in a room that is empty, so you can just speak your heart out. And I was pretty good at it, and brought quite many laurels to the school. But the best part was it just gave me so much of confidence, and that I owe it to my father.
Lily, you've also been at Infosys for more than 2 decades now. How have you seen yourself evolve as a leader, as a professional in all these years, and what has keep you going at Infosys in this such a long time?
It's all about celebrating work, and it's something that you really have to put into yourself when you're stepping into taking on an assignment or a challenge or a new piece of work to be executed, right? It's while the end result is important, it is about celebrating your journey to reach that end result. And that means that you're also taking along the people you're working with to reach that last part of the milestone. Life has not been easy. I've had some tough times. In fact, I'm a person who calls a spade a spade. It's got me into multiple situations at times, but um, I don't hesitate to call out when something is wrong. At the same time, um, I always feel that when you lose an opportunity, it's like a window shutting out, for there is definitely a door that gets opened. In the last 25 years that I've been with Infosys, every change for me is like a white canvas. And it's like, what do I do with it? I have a bunch of brushes and a box of paints. And I literally try to do the artwork with the teams that I work with. Every team is new, every country has been new. And I pretty much have been setting up delivery centers and operations for the last almost 20 years now, and traveled across the world. Um, and the last 22 years, literally, I have been outside India. For the first 6 years, I was in the US working with clients, new client teams, new Infosys teams at the client side, and different parts of the US. I then had an opportunity to move into Australia. Wow, that was awesome. And then I was given this opportunity to start scaling up operations for Infosys in China. Everyone called me insane. And I told myself, I will do it because it's something new. Everybody says no to it. Let me go figure out why it's Why do people call it challenging? It is challenging, yes. But then, back of my mind, I always hear my dad's voice saying, don't shy away from challenges. And so that for me has been my driving factor, literally. And I was there in China for 6 years. And then I moved to Europe in 2013, pretty much here now for 9 years. So if you look at it, every continent has been different, every country has been different, everything is a change. But it's amazing how it is when you start looking at that large wide door as an opportunity that has got opened up for you. And that is something that I really want to leave as a thought for every youngster, especially now with the kind of times we are living in, to take it on and not shy away from responsibilities, opportunities, and challenges.
Lily was speaking about it, how you've traveled to so many countries, and they say that when one travels, you learn a lot because every country is different, like you said. So, what did you pick up? How did you see your personality evolving when you were traveling to different countries?
It makes you feel different. It makes you feel so lighthearted. It gets you feel sad because and I just forgot to tell you that every time I traveled for the last 20 years, I have been traveling alone, because my family always lived back in India. I have a son, and pretty much till 2000, I think it was 2014 that my son moved out of India to do his masters. So it's been my husband who's been the mother and father all rolled into one. And so my son always jokes saying that, Mom, I know dad better than you know dad, which is true. And then the family that kept surrounding and making sure it happens, right from my parents-in-law to my extended family, and everyone around who made sure that nothing stops the clock moving on. Yeah. And for me, when I traveled, while the first 6 years was a bit tough, and I always was like, because it's like a totally new experience, and I would always say, oh, I wish my son was here, oh, I wish my family was here. And then the initial cravings got me into doing photography, in fact. And I'm not a great photographer, but I have got lovely memories stored on my digital print form that I would always share, take back to families and do it. So, but then as I started growing, one thing that I realized, and this was pretty much in my third year, around 2003, when I was working in Washington, D.C., I said the best part would be to start working with the local communities. Yeah. So I would visit people in hospitals. I was a part of a local church community. I would visit people in hospitals and spend some time with them. When I was in China, I did the same thing. To me, connecting with the local community made you feel whole. At the same time, you also are giving back because you're trying to take something from that community back. So it's a circle of you give and you take. And the best part is you get to know the culture, you get to know the language. It's absolutely a phenomenal experience when you start traveling and start living on your own, right from starting to make your own cup of coffee. At the end of the day, be it the workplace, be it the society at large, wherever we are, it also, to me, it is like, how much can I give before I take? Yeah. And every day is a learning day. At Infosys today, like 28th of May, I complete 25 years. And I can tell you, every day has been a different day. No 2 days are the same.
Maybe can you also tell us about how, meeting so many people and, adopting this mindset of, giving back to the society, how has it influenced your understanding of diversity and inclusion? And these topics have become such important conversations today worldwide. And what do you think a senior and an experienced leader like you can truly tell the younger generation, the aspiring professionals, what can they learn about diversity and inclusion?
Diversity is much beyond man and woman. Diversity is much beyond gender. Yeah. It's about the local culture. It's about the ways we interact in society, gender being a very implicit part of the whole thing. It depends upon the kind of demography that we are living in. So, to me, it is about embracing all this as a change. I'm a part of the Diversity Council, and I can tell you with the recent challenges that as a world, as we are all facing, as a society and world we are facing today, it all the more becomes important when we start being inclusive. Yeah. See, for example, if you look at the different countries today, in my role, I head the delivery and operations for pretty much all the Eastern Europe countries, the Nordics, the Baltics, and Switzerland. Each country is unique. It's diverse, right? And you're engaging with and interacting with almost local people in each of the countries, and no two countries are the same. Now if you put your hat on to look at so many countries with uniquely culturally different people, your eyes really get open to look at, wow, there's so much that I need to know. So to me, I would look at embracing culture, embracing diversity, to have it being inclusive into everything that you do. And it's not just about gender. And it's about, the best part is not about going and making a change happen. It's about how do you accept what is there that is different from your perspective. I think that is a key as we look at um, taking on diversity and inclusivity. Otherwise, diversity and inclusivity will just become um, some days of marked celebrations on calendars across the world. To me, it's an everyday moment. If we could slightly stop and ask ourselves, who was the first woman who actually started studying in our families? If each one of us could ask that, that woman was the barrier breaker for you and me to be here today talking about it, right? I think that person has to be celebrated. So to me, these are uh, moments where we kick in the awareness every day, right? It's also about, if you look at people who are differently abled, we walk away, right? We think, I'm comfortable working with people of a different group, right? But there are so many people who have done wonderful things. It's about us having eyes all over to be sensitive and looking at that change, looking at that differentiator. To me, I strongly believe diversity is not a day's celebration, but it's every moment to be celebrated every day of people who made changes for us for what we are today. So one thing that I strongly advocate is to have your support system around you be a part of your everyday life. I'll give you a small example. And I have been blessed. When my little one, who's a big one today, was growing up, we used to calendar it out in terms of uh, who would be there if you need to do a parents teachers meeting. And I was the one who was always pushed. There were times when we would look at who would take it off early to come back and look after him when he has a free time out from school early. So it is about how are you leveraging your ecosystem around. At the same time, you also should be willing to give up something for them in the process, right? It's not all about taking it in. While this is on the family front, there are many reasons as to why people fall off as they grow in from the middle management to the top. And there, I think the challenges are different. It's not about the support system, it's about the confidence. It's the confidence to say, yes, I will do it, or no, you're wrong, and I don't think this is the right way to. Speaking up, taking on ownership, and demonstrating that you are willing to make a change. These are things that become very critical. And the most important thing is to, especially today, when we're talking of COVID, when we're talking about working from home, it's all about how do you keep abreast with technology and how do you become resilient. And to me, when I talk of resilience, it is about something is broken. How am I able to build it back and come back? That is something that we need to look at. And then, of course, it's a different challenge altogether when you try to grow as up in the pyramid, right? There, your opportunities are lesser, competition is more, and there we need to be bringing in and standing on experience and data that as an individual we have gathered, and therefore we are able to demonstrate and not just talk without facts, and prove that you will be able to take on and do things. So there are different yardsticks and measures as you grow up in your career, to look at how can you reach levels. And there are some significantly wonderful women today across the world who have taken on challenges. um, I'm not saying that there is a lack of role models. There are. But if you really look at what makes it right for you as an individual, I'm pretty sure there are so many things that we would like to set the clock back and say, I wish I had done that. You know, there's always, I can do that. And I can is something that we really need to uh, bring into ourselves as we grow up the leadership scale.
Sure, it's wonderful. I can is something we need to build in ourselves, and we
Yeah.
need to identify what can we build back, build that resilience in us.
Yes.
Late for my last question, what kind of impact are you hoping to create with your work, and what can someone learn from your journey?
All I would like to leave back is a good legacy, and for somebody to take on, right? There are two things. One, um, I would like to leave a very ethical uh, practice and a very ethical experience for the younger generation to take on, to say these are the things we would like to do. You should be a person whom somebody can recall to say, this is how she did it, and I think this is the right way. That's one, and it's very difficult, I can tell you that. The second thing that I would like to really look at is, and I have struggled with it a lot, and I can tell you this, is to have that confidence to say, I can move on. And when I say I can move on, it is about I have built something. How good am I to let go of it to take on something else? Right? Because we keep holding on to this. Those strings are so strong that we are not willing to let go. And this is true for every a male and a female, or everyone else at the workplace, even in our personal lives, right? We cling to things. And I had that problem at times too. And I'm like, how willing am I to let go, enable people, and then just take on something new? If I'm willing to do that, and it's all boiling down to the fact of how can I embrace change? How can I look at challenges as opportunities? And how can I just keep moving on? Right? These are things that we got to experience every day. These are things that I would actually leave to the youngsters today. Celebrate work, take on challenges, and be resilient and be a learning person. That's quite important.
Sure, thank you so much, and be someone that people can recall and say she did it this way. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
thank you so much for all these lovely insights and sharing all these experiences with us. I'm sure everyone who's tuned in today has had so many learnings from this interview. And thank you everyone for tuning in for this interview. We will have more such interviews lined up for you, so keep watching this space for more. Thank you.